30.05 for 10K, obviously a lot quicker than I thought I was going to run. I think I predicted, 31 minutes, 31:30. And that's something that I really want to talk about today. I wasn't obviously sure where the fitness was, but I want to talk about how I didn't let the fact that I wasn't perfectly trained then hinder, call it like my performance on race day, in terms of when the gun went, what was I sort of thinking, how did I attack the race, and then how might that help you going into races in future. And I think part of that comes down to, like, let's call it like recent technology with shoes, etc. And I think you can race much different now than perhaps you could in the past. And so for me to have set, say, like a time goal of 31 minutes or 31:30, had I then sort of let that carry into my sort of like race strategy, it might have really hindered how the sort of race went. So let's talk about the race. The entire purpose of me racing was to basically get an idea of sort of where the fitness is at. My previous video, I spoke about how important that is. And if you sort of look at it now, it is so important to test that fitness as quickly as you can, in case, like in my scenario, you were going to predict that the fitness was a lot worse than it actually was. But I sort of thought maybe my fitness around sort of 31:30, and that was linked to the sort of November challenge and the fact that I wasn't really doing sessions for the last maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. I just really wasn't sure how it was going to go.
Okay guys, so before I jump back into the video, 262clo.com, we're doing our sales right now. That's the Black Friday sales. That's the best deals you're going to get all year. I don't love to plug, but I am doing it during Black Friday. So jump on the website while stocks last. Best deals you're going to get this year.
So my actual strategy for the race, as silly as it sounds, I was going to try win the race until I couldn't win the race. That's literally as far as my strategy went. And that might sound like sort of like silly or foolish, but obviously I wasn't at the Olympic 10K. I wasn't even at, like, say, Valencia 10K. So I knew that the pace wasn't going to be like absolutely ridiculously fast. But the other reason that I committed with that sort of like attitude is I genuinely believe if when the gun goes, if you set off like defensively, and what I mean by that is like you don't think you're that fit, so when the gun goes, you sort of start timid or you almost start in a vulnerable state of mind. I genuinely believe you very rarely feel good after that moment. And so my sort of attitude was I'm going to kind of go off like I'm trying to win this race. And then, like, if anybody makes like a move or they sort of like push hard, I'll try to cover it as sensibly as I can possibly be. And then of course, if when I try to cover the move, perhaps if I can't cover it, like, it's not a big deal. Then we just figure out how to get to the finish line. And so I think we went like 2:52 for the first K, which was, lightning. And then it sort of like settled down a bit, probably to like 2:58 per K, 2:56 per K. And I managed to keep up until about 4 or 5K. And then after sort of 4 or 5K, I think we had literally went through 5K in like 14:50, for example. And then I sort of realized, okay, well, you're not quite there that you can cover any of the moves that happened after that moment. I just wasn't able to cover it. And the race was won in about 29:15 to 29:20. So they actually sort of picked the pace up, those guys at the front. But I did my best to cover everything I could until that moment. And then when I realized you're not going to be able to cover any more moves, then I just focused on being 100% myself. I didn't worry about the people around me. I didn't consider the people behind me. I basically taught myself this a long time ago. You focus on you. You relax those shoulders, you relax the breathing, and you literally race like you're out there doing a super hard tempo by yourself. The purpose of that is so that you're just really relaxed. It allows you to like relax everything down. The shoulders relax, the arms relax, the breathing relaxes. And it just stops you putting pressure on yourself either to catch the people ahead of you or pressure on yourself that people might catch you from behind. Once you allow pressure to sort of take over, you end up slowing because you get anxious, you don't run with a good running technique, and things can kind of fall apart. And so I did a really good job of calming everything down, not worrying about literally the people that were maybe about 10 sort of seconds ahead of me, maybe 15 seconds. Didn't worry about them, didn't worry about the people behind me, just got myself into the best rhythm that I could possibly get into. I didn't look at the watch, didn't look at the heart rate. Thank God, my heart rate was so high. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Didn't look at the watch, didn't look into any of that. Just sort of like kept myself in that rhythm, tried to stay really positive. And it worked. in hindsight, maybe if I looked at my watch with like 2K to go, maybe I would have rallied a bit because possibly I'd have seen that I was sort of, really close to actually breaking 30 minutes. The goal was to see where the fitness is at. And I think sometimes if you're doing like a race and you're just trying to sort of see where the fitness is at, I think if you absolutely say bust your balls, and I hate to use that quote, but if you nail it and if I'd have checked my watch with 2K to go and I'd have done this mad sprint finish, I think you almost take too much out of yourself on the day that you weren't even going to perform at, say, like your peak performance. And actually what you were supposed to do was just go to a 10K, run pretty solid, figure out where your fitness is at, and then you were supposed to improve by maybe a minute, maybe 90 seconds. If I thought I was in like 31 to 31:30 shape and I was talking about 30 minutes, we were talking about perhaps one of my next possibly two races, I was thinking about running 60 to 90 seconds quicker. So there is no sense in my mind absolutely destroying yourself in that first one that was set up to be like a test. It was set up to measure where's the fitness at. So I want to talk about the heart rate thing, and obviously something that I've been talking about lately is the fact that I'm not full training and all this sort of yada yada. And it's not that I'm making up excuses by any means. I am delighted with 30 minutes for 10K, let me tell you. But I also don't really have much time for excuses. I'm not full training, that's my choice. So if you get beaten a race or you don't run your best, it's still your responsibility. But what it has allowed is it's basically been, I don't know how long it's been since I've been able to run in a race and operate at a heart rate that I basically was in this race. And so where I want to go with that is, I'm not telling everybody to cut your training in half, perhaps like I have, but I do believe that in previous versions of my own career, I've been a lot fitter, but because on race day I've not been able to push the heart rate to those sort of high levels, I've almost not been able to extract the result out of my body that I should have been capable of. And so when you're, call it under training, you're literally running zero risk of causing fatigue, causing tiredness within the build-up. And I think it's something that people don't sort of treat seriously enough, that part of the balance of the training build-up is to build this really good fitness, but you're also trying to build this fitness in a way that it doesn't make you too tired before the gun goes on race day. And I think that's something that you need to be really, really smart with. Get the balance of your training right, don't make a mess of it, and then it means on race day, you'll actually have something to give. So where does it go from here? Honestly, I'm not totally sure. It was a big surprise for me to go and run 30:05 or 30:06, I think was the official time. I did make a statement. It was like my old rule used to be, if you can break 30 minutes for 10K, then perhaps you're in a position to enter a marathon. I do need to fix my left knee. And so I don't want to be thinking to myself, oh my God, you ran 30 minutes, now enter a marathon. What I'd love to do is take that 30 minutes and maybe get much closer to 29 minutes by putting in some of that effort. The reason I'm going to put in some of that effort, it has very little to do with running. I absolutely adore running. I really do. The reason I want to put some of that effort in is because I've just got a little bit lazy in life. It's like I stopped being the professional runner, and with that, I just allowed discipline, all these wonderful things. When you look after your sleep, when you look after your hydration, when you sort of eat the right things, they're not only brilliant for your running, they're brilliant for life. And so what I did when I moved away from being the professional runner was I kind of just got sloppy in life with a lot of these sort of choices that you make on a daily basis. And then when I entered that race and I had 3 days to go to the race, suddenly I was focusing on my hydration. Suddenly I didn't want to be walking around as much. I was trying to be off my feet a little bit more. And I sort of realized that's why running is so powerful. Because you enter these races, you set these goals. If they really mean something to you, then you're willing to put in the work to help you achieve that goal. If you're willing to put in the work to help you achieve that goal, and that means looking after your hydration, sleeping a little bit more, not going crazy with work hours if you don't need to, then that is an absolutely wonderful thing. And so that's likely why I'll push to enter another race, because I think it's going to clean my life up a little bit where I've probably got a little bit sloppy. When you get a little bit sloppy in life, that's when the sort of mental health starts to decline a little bit. You stop sort of having that I had this quote where it's I'm an animal, but if you're not really behaving like an animal, to me when I say that quote, I'm an animal, I build that animal by being really disciplined for a lengthy enough period of time, which then makes me think, yeah, you're a monster, you're an animal. You're like, literally, instead of eating the chocolate, you're like, no, I don't want it. Instead of drinking like the Diet Cokes or the Coke or whatever, you're like, I don't want it. To me, an animal is the type of person that can just say no, because the thing that they're heading towards trying to achieve means more to them than the sort of quick bits of dopamine or whatever you want to call it that are right in front of your face. Whatever it is you're heading towards means enough to you that you'll say no to the sort of like nonsense in the middle. So obviously I surprised myself, 30.05. Yeah, everyone keeps saying like life in the old dog yet and all this sort of, call it like nonsense. But listen, I said 31 minutes because I just didn't think I'd put in the work that I sort of like deserved such a quick time. And I'm going to give some credit to like shoes, but also I suppose maybe I've talked down the amount of training that I've actually been doing, and maybe actually for a period of time that training has been, fairly solid, clearly. Look, if you want to support me, you can jump on the website, 262clo.com. Black Friday sales on right now. That would be absolutely fantastic. You can get a pair of shorts for free. That's buy a pair, get a pair free with the coupon code 262pocket. But that ends today, so tonight. Like, subscribe, do all those lovely things. Take care.